We are almost live. We're preparing the live stream. Live stream, live stream, live stream.
Live stream, live stream, live stream. Do you have the link for it?
Yeah, it's tweeting it. It's tweeted. Cool. All right, let's do it. Well, so we're gonna talk a little bit more about TestFit to Revit via Dynamo, but also from Revit to TestFit via, I guess, Dynamo as well. So I mean, last Friday I think was pretty enlightening. We went live last time. At least for me, I think it's getting more real. So I think the concept is designed for documentation right now, right? So if you already have a kit of parts documented, this is incredibly useful.
Yeah, I think, just being able to utilize the power of TestFit for what it's good at, which is designing buildings, and then getting that documentation in Revit, because that's where, all permits and things come from. So so there's a few really so my idea was basically to make some more simple scripts that, people weren't going to be overloaded by. So
yeah, the last script was impenetrable.
Yeah, just some little helper ones that, are convenient and not too hard to follow along to. So let me share my screen. All right.
One thing we should note, and I really appreciate John Pearson hopping in and helping.
Oh my God.
Just like here's a plug for Parallax team. If you need anything to do with Revit, they're the best at it in the entire world.
It's
John Pearson and Aaron Mahler. Yeah.
It's amazing how well they know the innards of Revit. Like, it's not just like basic BIM training. It's like, no, like they understand every little piece of it, which is just so cool. All right, first, let's start out with Revit model lines to TestFit property lines. So the idea with this would be that, you're starting from scratch in Revit, or you're pulling in a property line from, say, a civil engineer or something. So what you're going to do is just draw a nice site. Oops. Actually, let's open a new project first.
You've already got too many model groups now.
Yeah, I got some little Parallax model groups in there. And hopefully at the end of the video, we can show like a fully built out Parallax TestFit building. So, okay, so, let's say you got a site from a civil engineer. I don't want my old text, I want model lines. Let me make this a little bigger for everyone. And their site is shown as, some little convoluted thing like that. And we want to take that and bring it into TestFit. So what we can do, go up to Manage, Dynamo. That'll open Dynamo in a second. Okay. So here are some of our basic scripts. So we're going to do Revit model lines to TestFit property line. Drag and drop that. And this is the script. So pretty basic script. We're just grabbing those model lines here, doing some geometry conversion, and getting them into TestFit. So if we click select model elements, select them. We should select a path. Let's say we'll just make a new RSD. Let's see, model lines to test it. RSD.
Uh-oh, it might become unstable.
No, so that's
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I think my computer doesn't know which to use to default to, the beta or that. So basically those are our two inputs, right? We have the model lines and then the file you want to send them to. We can preview that, or we can preview that once it runs, but if you run it, you can see this preview in the background for Dynamo. But also if you open up TestFit.
Nice.
This is, I think this has been happening with me. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's the image loader. Just close it.
I just hit okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's open model lines test fit.
Excellent.
Voila, there we go. So, now ideally, you're building in here, and then.
So Nat, just for your information, undo the property line move, and you can hit the solve button in the bottom right hand corner. It'll solve it.
Ooh, good call. Good call.
Yep.
There we go. So you don't have to move them at all. So
yeah.
Yeah, so that's super quick, easy. And then we have a script to do the opposite. So let's say you're in, let's delete this.
I love how the box gets sad. It turns yellow.
Yeah. All right, so now we'll open TestFit property line to Revit model lines in Dynamo. So this needs a fresh RSD.
Yeah. So hey, close that. Close it.
Quit.
No. Just the close button. It's on right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Click restore. Okay. Now close it. Close that. Now it should have cleared the crashed file that it's trying to always open up. It's trying to bring you back to where you were. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So we'll delete this old site and just say, or no, oh yeah, we want to create one. So let's draw a site.
Nice.
That's a
wrap deal.
Nice little site. We'll save that.
Totally impractical.
TestFit, Revit site. Okay. And so, yeah, this is the script, pretty basic. Taking that TestFit file and just turning it into model lines within Revit so that you can kind of manipulate it however you want there. So the one input is this, so we'll select the file and we'll run that. And there we go.
Are they're all like the same dimensions?
Yep. Same dimensions. 322. Let's see if we can, which one is it?
Yeah, so open up the meets and bounds panel and it'll have all the dimensions. It's the left hand side. It says draw site, define meets and bounds. Yeah, it's through 322.19. Perfect.
There we go. 322.19. Yeah, there we go. So
0.19.
0.19. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's those two workflows. And then the next one was basically, my idea was that, you've done all this work in TestFit. You want to bring it into Revit, but you don't necessarily have like typical units built out in Revit. So what you want to do is just bring the geometry in. And this is nice because it's very quick. So like, let's take a nice large deal like that. Save this.
So 456 units at a 925 average is like, you know, nearly a 500,000 square feet. So it's a pretty big building.
Pretty big, yeah.
50,000 square meters.
Yeah, and we should be able to make this model pretty quickly with Dynamo. So let's name this Big F building. And let's grab this script. So we want TestFit geometry to Revit. All right, so I tried to make it a little easier for people to understand what's going on here. So basically these blues are just your inputs that you need. And then these colors are basically what it's creating in Revit. So this is creating levels, this is creating roofs, floors, amenity walls, all that good stuff. So if we input a few things here, we want Big F building.
And then we've got we're using the TestFit Dynamo nodes, like parts by building isn't one that is out of the box. So there's several nodes in here that are.
Yeah. So these are all, almost all of them actually are TestFit. So let's see, we are using only TestFit packages. Yeah. Again, this is John Pearson.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
For the absolutely amazing imagery. Yeah, and so I guess if anyone, I should have pointed this out at the beginning too. If anyone's like newer to Dynamo, in order to find the TestFit package, you go up to packages, search package, and if you just search TestFit, we're the top one right there. And there's Ryan's email if anyone needs to.
And then TopoloGic also has a cells by Rsd file, which is pretty cool. They've parsed our Rsd file.
Yeah.
And we should look at that one.
Yeah.
In the future.
Yeah, I haven't got to look at it yet, but it does sound really cool.
We could ask Wasim to hop in and give us a tour of TopoloGic for everybody.
Yeah, maybe we can. That would be fun to do next week or something, or whenever he's available.
Yeah, I mean he's in Ireland, so we're gonna have to coordinate times.
Oh, okay.
I think Cardiff is in Ireland.
I thought he was in Australia. That's crazy. Okay, Ireland. Good to know. Anyway, oh yeah. So I should just show.
TestFit
so if you're new to Dynamo, just hit download there. It'll install the package and then it'll work. So we've input our Rsd file, which is the TestFit format. We can select a roof. We can select a floor, and these are all the generic Revit roofs, Revit families. For these, but you can put.
So for example, for balcony walls, I'm not going to use a generic 6-inch. I'll probably use like an actual balcony railing or something.
Yeah, and we may want to modify that a little bit. I'm not sure how the Revit API deals with railings, because I think it's different than walls. But yeah, we would probably want something different than that.
Common walls, facade walls, lift walls, stair walls, unit walls.
Lots of walls.
Yep.
All right, so now let's, for effect, put this on the side and let's open up a 3D view here. Okay, so if we press go.
Should I go get some coffee?
I don't think so, actually. I think this part of the process is pretty fast. It's really, when we deal with model groups, those are a little more difficult.
They're hefty.
Yeah, it's basically like, you know, if like a interior wall is like, you know, not exactly in line with a facade wall or something, then it can cause it to run a little longer. But like from what I was testing, it was like, you know, for a 150 unit building, it would take 5 minutes to do, you know, the whole typical apartment or typical model group workflow. I hope I didn't speak too soon about this.
That's all right, man. That's why it's a live stream, because you have to have grace under pressure, right?
Is anyone watching this right now?
I think we got like 2 people. It's good though.
Nice. That's an
I mean, it's the
all-time
middle of
high.
work. It's the middle of a work day. I don't expect
Yeah.
people to hop on a YouTube live. Like,
I mean, people
I
are
do
working from
like
home
this
now, they
idea of
can-
like every Friday we could do this, like sort of what are we doing with Revit, you know?
Yeah, it definitely puts some pressure on me to make progress on everything. So that part is pretty good. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, this workflow is also creating. I don't know. Last week, we would see that there wasn't a hole here, so this is now creating holes in the roofs and the floors for all the plates.
I'm glad you solved that, because like in the early days, I would just make buildings that didn't have a hole in it because I don't have the programming prowess to really figure out how to cut a shaft there. So
Yeah,
if you go back to the
yeah.
early like TestFits or Revit videos, it's like, oh, there's no enclosed courtyards. So I'm glad to see this is making progress.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, a lot of this is due to like the awesome Dynamo community, because I think this was a spring from the Springs package, which is Dimitar, I think. And like, yeah, so he already had done the coding to be able to cut openings and shafts and floors and roofs.
So let's make sure to retweet them and thank them for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it open source project?
Yeah, yeah. Or his is, yeah, because it's all within Python within Dynamo. But yeah, actually that's the amazing thing about Dynamo. Let me pull it up. Where is it? It's like the Revit, the nodes that come with Revit are like, you know, up here. And then all of this stuff here is made by people. So like, let's see. Where's
I know data shapes. They're
Yeah,
excellent.
data shapes is great. I don't know why I don't have Rhythm on here, but that's John Pearson. Clockwork is amazing. Archilab is oh my god, why am I blanking on Conrad Sylvan, who's awesome. So yeah, all these people just make these packages, like, and a lot of them don't get paid for it and just put it here, and that's pretty amazing. Because if we were relying just on the Revit nodes, it would be a little tough.
Impossible.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so let's see. So we have a nice roof, all of these like the walls between the units.
Look at the bricks.
The bricks on the end. Hey, everyone loves exposed bricks, right?
Look at those balconies. The balconies look okay.
Yeah, look at that. Let's actually let's turn realistic on.
Did you set the balcony height to be less than the floor to floor height? That's probably why.
Yeah. So right now that is a little bit funky. Ooh, look at that. We have a nice I don't know what kind of build this is.
It's a nice grayish color.
Yes. A grayish, between a gray and a beige.
We need an actual architect to make it not look so terrible.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. But yeah, so I think that works pretty well. And we won't test it on this. We'll test it on a more basic model. But we can also start doing parking below.
Below grade?
Below grade, that works. And yeah, it's pretty nice. And like the cool thing about Dynamo would be that, you know, if you use our workflow here, you can also just like automatically create sheets and drawing sets from this. So like if we have up here, we're creating these levels. basically just create sheets from each of those levels, and now you have, you know, a basic drawing set without ever actually having to do anything in Revit, which is nice.
Well, just starting the project off on a slightly better footing than you would otherwise.
Yeah, and you're not having to, you know, bring in CAD or PDFs or some messy version of that and trying to draw based on that. It's, you know, this is the geometry in TestFit. Now it's the geometry in Revit, which is pretty darn cool.
So are we drawing all the walls by center line?
Yes. So they're drawn by center line, and then I believe Revit will just put the thickness of whatever the
Yeah,
wall is. Yeah,
line.
so you can kind of see. Yeah, that works well.
So we might need to look into the placement of those walls too, because like right now, like my goal would be to have like a 6-foot clear corridor, and if it's drawn on center line, it's probably not clear.
That is very true. Actually, and I was running into that with the. See, that's probably going to be 6 foot. Yeah, that's 6 foot. If you can see that.
Yeah.
I was running into that with the typical units that Parallax had given us, because those are those dimensions are actually, let's see, where are they? Those dimensions were based off of like interior size, like interior wall to wall dimensions. And so when you did the center line, it was like, you know, 32 feet 6 inches and 120 out of 256 inches or something.
Yeah, so that's untenable.
Yeah.
Construction tolerance is like what, a half of an inch in stick built multifamily. I mean, you're not going to get that close.
Yeah, exactly. But it did make me question. It's like, wow, we're only going down to an inch in TestFit, so maybe we have to start going into the fractions.
Yeah, I don't like the floating point math at all. Okay, so let's look at model groups, I think.
Yeah, so model groups was a fun thing this week, because let's see, one of these is going to be a good one to look at. I think it's this one.
So it takes preparation is the thing.
Definitely takes.
Maybe we flip from. Let's flip from this render view to more diagrammatic. I hate it when they show shadows in a 2D unit plan.
Yeah, it's a little tough.
It's like there's going to be a roof there. System colors.
And then sun path off. How do I turn off shadows? Shadows off. There we go. That's a little better.
Okay, so these units are correlated to the TestFit default unit attachments. So we drew a bunch of really bad unit plans, and then Parallax Aaron was kind enough to actually model them out in BIM for us. So the design of the units are not Parallax, but the BIM, the quality of the BIM is. So I mean, you can look at the families; they're absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
fully parametric. Like, I mean, geez,
like this stove, that is quite impressive.
So yeah, I just wanted to clarify the relationship there. Let's do we have a workflow to do like a TestFit unit to model group Revit?
So it's not automated right now. So ideally what you would do is you would have your typical unit built out in Revit. So let's actually we can go through a little bit of that. So let's just copy and paste this. Actually, yeah, let's do that. So let's ungroup that. Okay, so you have your typical unit, that your firm has or whatnot, that you want to use. You bring it into Revit, and the first thing you want to do is basically include everything but the exterior walls in a model group. So you go up here, hit create group. Oh, it doesn't like that I have this selected. Hold on one sec. And you probably shouldn't include doors in there also, because that'll slow it down a bit. We can probably figure that out at another point, but create group, ask a name, Clifton's apartment.
Lots of closet space.
Lots of closet space. And so so you've just made the group, and this is actually a really important point, because this right here is the model group origin. So this is what John was talking about last week, where he was saying you can automate how this is placed, but where this is located. And I took a look at our workflow from last week and said, if the users can just place this, it's going to make the code a lot faster and a lot simpler. So basically all you have to do is bring it down to the left-hand corner and the center line of the two walls. And make sure it's rotated correctly. So basically what this is this point and the axes here are going to relate to what's in TestFit. And so that's really important to get that point right. So at this point in the process, you have this model group, you've named it, you make sure it doesn't have exterior walls. And then what you can do is go into TestFit and say, configurator, editor. That's not a corner unit, no, okay. So you come here, you can add a unit, and then you would basically dimension it here. So obviously this isn't ideal right now because you're still having to dimension it here. We have a workflow. We will have a workflow to get it a Revit
To essentially build that model group there and then ship it to TestFit as a KOP, right?
Yes, that's exactly it. So we're working on that now. It requires some changes in how the Rsd file is written, but it's not anything crazy. So hopefully we'll have that soon. But yeah, so you would create that dimension, the dimensioned unit here. You would name it Clifton's apartment.
And is the string naming is important there?
Yes, so that has to match what's in Revit. And right now, this is a bit of a workaround, but you just place an image in this, and that makes sure that that point in the bottom left corner will match.
Yeah, so
Revit,
so just having like a JPEG as a reference is helpful.
Can put any JPEG or GIF in there, although the GIF doesn't actually play, unfortunately.
We have much bigger problems to solve.
Yes, we do. Yeah, so that's how you bring this typical unit into TestFit. So let's undo some of this and look at the stuff that I added. So the stuff that I got working with the typical units this week included inside corner units, which can be a bit of a pain. I didn't get to outside corner units because those are a larger pain. and parking. So is this the building I did? That parking, that looks like parking underneath, I think.
Mm-hmm.
No, not parking underneath. Okay. We can rerun it. This one actually shouldn't take that long. Let's see. Oh, what do I want to do? Let's see. This will change this colors back, but it'll get rid of this building. There we go. And all right, so let's open up the newer script.
Advanced.
It's, you know, I want to make sure that people know it's a beast, and
Oh, Nat, anybody can pick up Dynamo and use it in minutes.
Okay, so yeah, so the script has been simplified a bit, added documentation in it, and kind of refactored how we're doing the workflow. So whereas last week I was assuming that exterior walls were included in the groups, and that the model origin was at the middle, I've now decided that it's not worth it to do all this stuff in the back end to deal with those things. And so the user just doesn't include the exterior walls and moves the origin down there. So not a big thing for the user to change, but it makes the script much more reliable in the long run.
That's the goal. So, reliable, scalable scripts.
Reliable, scalable, very repeatable. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we have these 4 units that we want to include that are in, let's find a good TestFit file to run it on. Basic parallax, I think that was a good one. Yeah, okay, so we have this cutesy little deal here. It's got parking below, has an inside corner unit, and let's see, 42 units. So input the Rsd here, basic parallax, which I think it was already in there. Yeah, open that. This node here I added, so this is basically just selecting the model groups that you want. You don't have to do it in a certain order. It'll just look for the model group name and associate that with the TestFit name. Oh, we have all of Parallax's really nice families here. So let's use some of those. Structural. Oh, wow. Does that have a floor or ceiling too? That's cool. Let's try those. Amenity walls.
Should we do another plug? Hey, if you need Revit families, go talk to Aaron Mahler. He's got all of them.
Look at these things. It's amazing. I wish I knew what they were. As a mechanical engineer, I don't know what a wall is. I usually just think of it as some chunk of the building, but I'll try a bunch of these.
You mean like you don't know what gypboard is?
I mean, I know what gypboard is, but like, do I know what exterior mag 4-5/3 gyp metal stud plywood? I guess I sort of understand what's happening there, but that's getting beyond my normal Metal.
Yeah, I mean, in school, you learn that a wall is a wall, and then you go into practice, and a wall is actually not a wall. There's a lot of things in a wall.
There's a whole bunch of things going in.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put these generic ones in here for now because there's too many of those. All right, so put in the RSD.
So what is this pink field up here?
Yeah, so yeah, I can walk through this a little more now that it's a little easier to read. So everything's based off of our Rsd file. So our Rsd file out of TestFit is a JSON-esque file. I say JSON-esque because it mostly follows JSON structure, but there's like minor things that can be different. So this is where we pull everything from. This pink here is basically reading that as a JSON and pulling out important points. So this type 6 is actually all of the units within the building. This up here is getting like the unit types from TestFit. All of this down here is actually just part of that Revit
That's
script.
That's the first script that we saw that does the walls.
Yeah.
And the floors.
So you could, if you wanted to, you could freeze this part of the script, run this, and you're just going to get that Revit geometry that we already did.
You'll get the skeleton, but not the organs.
Yes, exactly. So this is basically doing the organ part. So you're reading that JSON, taking the things out that you want. You're associating the unit type. Let's see, let me make sure this is right. We are associating the units to what type they need to be. And then we're getting that origin from each point. So actually, let's see. Yeah, so that bottom left corner of each apartment, we're doing that here. And then over here, this is actually where most of it happened. Yeah, this is like where, so if this script takes 5 minutes to run, this is 4 minutes of it, if not 4.5 minutes. This is basically taking.
Love to see the conversion from radians to angles.
Yeah. Yeah, and I borrowed a lot of this from Julian Benoit in his Python package. So thank you, Julian. But basically what this is doing is taking the list of all the list of points of the TestFit units. So if you have 125 units, there's going to be 125 points there. And then it places that typical group at that point, and then rotates it. And the reason I did it in Python versus just the normal Revit node is it takes a lot longer if it's in the normal
Design
node.
script.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's mostly it. So if we run this, it'll be slightly different user experience. So the first thing it does is it's asking what units you want to use. So I want this nice inside corner unit, and I want these as well.
I was wondering what the arrows were.
Yeah, the arrows are actually just walls in the shape of arrows. So basically, the reason I just clicked through those was Revit is placing that skeleton, and some of our TestFit geometry isn't, perfectly is overlapping or little things like that, and so that's just saying like, let me unjoin this wall. You'll still have those full two walls there. It's just unjoining it.
I think John said that in the API, or if we build a plugin or something, it suppresses the warning, so we can pick up a little bit of.
Yeah, that can definitely be done. And so this one, so I've been testing it on a few different buildings, and it seems to be like if it's 100 or so units, it'll take like 4 minutes. If it's 50 or so, it may take, half than that time. And it also is it's very dependent on the model group. So if one thing is off in the model group, it'll make this run a little bit longer. It's not gonna
like if you have the model group off by 90 degrees.
That wouldn't do it as much. That would just place it in the wrong rotation. It would be more of like, you include something in the model group that's hosted to a wall, to an exterior wall. So when it places that model group, it doesn't know where to place that hosted group. It may be able to find the wall that we placed in this part of the script.
So you've got to you've just got to be really careful with how you model, where you put things. I mean, it's like model hygiene at a higher level.
Yes, that's exactly it. All right, here we go. Let's see if this worked. I think I'm seeing the units. So if I hide the roof, yeah, there we go. A fully parallaxed building. Actually, so the walls did not come up to this. And I think that's the parking below.
So you have like a level of parking, and it kind of messed up the. Let's debug. I mean, we can fix that.
Yeah, that's not too bad. But let's see. Actually, we can just use floor plans. That's probably not stuff, right? How much it's going to hate to do this? Oh no, wait, that's just, is that a unit? Or is that the typical units? That's the typical units. Hold on. Let's just take a chunk of this out. There we go.
So we got one floor correct.
Oh, it's killing me. Maybe I hid that also.
I think you can. Yeah, I mean, it looks right. I don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just
there's a little bit
walls
of
aren't.
Wall. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not coming up through, but we get the idea. So yeah, so we're doing inside corner units now. Outside corner units are a little more difficult because those tend to be mirrored, which is hard to, it's not exposed in the RSD right now if that is mirrored or not. So
whether or not a unit is flipped.
Yeah, so that would actually apply to, I think, a lot of even inline units.
Yeah, all of the inline units can be flipped, and they.
Yeah, so definitely something that needs to, if we want to expose that here, we need to expose it in the Rsd file, which I think Ryan says is possible. And then, yeah, parking is working below. What else was there? Those walls are.
I think we're getting multifamily walls inside of our parking structure.
Yeah. So let me just make a note about that.
It's the creative process.
Creative process. That's why we're in YouTube Live, because no one can take us seriously. But I was actually thinking
a lot of people taking us very seriously.
Yeah. So I was thinking of like why someone would want to bring this stuff, all of TestFit into Revit. And there's obviously the first reason, which is like, you're going to do your drawings in Revit. So why not just bring it in straight from TestFit? But I was also thinking,
you gotta listen to Bill Allen's model drop chasm talk.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard that. What's the TLDR?
We waste a lot of time shipping data around. He calls it a model drop. I mean, you're like, you've built this model in another app, and then if you want to move it to the other app, you then have to, lots of people just throw the model out and start over.
Yeah.
Because they don't trust,
Hmm.
it's a very technical problem, but it probably costs the industry millions and, wasted
Yeah.
effort a year.
I mean, you have to think like going from 100% CD documents and giving those to a contractor. How many contractors are actually like using that model and not just a PDF of it? It's like just horrible waste of information and data being lost.
Yep. Everybody's shipping things PDF. I mean,
Yeah.
we went from printing things out to just making PDFs. So it's
Not too much of an improvement. But yeah, so
I'm
thinking,
excited, man. This looks really good, honestly. I think we're gonna keep pulling this thread. I think we really should build the plugin. I think it'll make it easier. I mean, like open up the script, the one that actually does this, which is I think what people really want. I don't see it in a typical architecture firm, like someone getting in here and reading around.
Yeah, this is a small percentage of architecture firms that would be able to open this and use it well. And if something were to go wrong, then, that's an even lower chance that someone would be able to read this. But yeah, and I was thinking of other reasons why we want to bring this into Revit, and I was actually thinking of Enscape. Because
yes.
Like,
wait, do you have Enscape? Do you have it on your machine?
I don't actually.
All right. So we should get them on a live call, and we'll do a TestFit to Revit to Enscape or something. That'd be fun.
That would be awesome. Because this building's kind of boring because there's no balconies or anything. But being able to just make it in TestFit, bring it to Revit, and just have a render there is that would be cool. Even though you could even render inside the apartments. That would be fun to get that hooked up.
What would be another thing we could look at is Revit's got some planing tools in it, like planing massing and stuff. RSD to planing, or conceptual. I think they call it conceptual mass. That's like something else we could do, because this right here is a lot all at once. Maybe they just want it in Revit to build a proposal or something. That's another thing that I've heard. Yeah,
we could probably simplify the mass of the building, so that they're not getting all these walls and stuff, but just the form for rendering or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think we're headed in the right direction. I think it's very promising. I was thinking about it last night a little bit. It really is designed for documentation, this workflow. Everybody's going crazy about DFMA, which is designed for manufacturing, but more practical interstitial step in my mind is okay, let's do design for documentation, because if we get this workflow done really well, the SD level stuff gets a whole lot easier. DDs get a little bit easier. I'm not going to say CDs will be easier, but it's at least giving the architecture community, getting them started on a much more powerful footing than drawing all this stuff manually and copying things everywhere.
Yeah. And we're not going to be the best at laying out interior apartments. That's going to be the architect that knows that best. And so if they're able to do that, and then we configure all of those in a really efficient, effective building, then yeah, I think it's
well, by we, you mean TestFit the software at the hands of the user. I mean,
yes. Yeah,
we're building the structure, and then they can do everything inside the structure, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I want to get maybe a little bit of brainstorming on our end or with one of our customers to kind of talk about facades and window placement, bay placement, balcony placement. I mean, I think there's a little bit more effort we can do to kind of like right now, like the KOP is pretty static. Like, can you flip back to TestFit?
Yeah.
Yeah, going there. So like this is pretty static in terms of like the facade is not divorced from the unit. So like if you add like an inset balcony on one of those units, it's going to be in the same exact location every single time. And sometimes you, for facade rhythm and stuff, you actually want those to be in a different location.
Yeah.
Like, see, this will propagate in the same exact spot across the entire site plan.
Yeah.
And there's the grip on the bottom enables you to pull it in.
There
Yep.
we go. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And I feel
that's
like
something
that pairs well with the kind of like the envelope type editing that we've recently put in, being able to like kind of manually edit the larger pieces of the building.
Well, it's editing in section for the first time within TestFit. I mean, it's a really good 2D plan generator, but today it's a good 2D plan generator. What our R&D is right now is how do we actually do it in 3 dimensions. The work so far has blown me away, man. Like I just can't wait to get it in the hands of the users.
I'm glad. Yeah, I think users are going to love it. I think that we've heard them ask for it for a bit, and it's all the stuff is there. So it's just putting it together, and yeah, I think they'll like it.
Yeah, no, I've been hearing it since like 2017.
Yeah,
like just cannot wait to get it done. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. And then they're going to be like, but what about this? And then we'll have to go after that too. But until then,
but that's the nature. That's the nature of software, and that's the nature of leadership. Is how do we keep pushing, pushing the envelope, on not intended.
That's true. In other news, we had 6 people watching this at one point. How about that?
Ooh, all right.
That's an
We're getting our
all-time
numbers
high.
up.
Yeah.
I know it's good. I think if we're consistent, we can get more dialogue sort of in this time slot, which is like lunchtime on Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we'll continue to sort of do our Revit initiatives on Fridays. And Nat and Press, thank you so much for your hard work this week. I am going to, yeah, man. Let's circle up offline and we can talk next steps. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. Cheers, man. Peace.
Bye, YouTube.